Ladies and gentlemen, the 2022 ICN Advocacy Workshop, hosted by the Spanish National Markets and Competition Commission, CNMC, is about to start. You are kindly requested to maintain your cameras and microphones off. Cani Fernandez, President of the Spanish CNMC, has the floor.
Thank you, Joaquin, and good afternoon, good evening from Spain to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the ICN and particularly the co-chairs of the Advocacy Working Group, the competition authorities of Colombia, Hong Kong, and the Philippines for having entrusted us with the organization of the 2022 ICN Advocacy Workshop and for their valuable help in the last months and days. Allow me also to thank the CNMC staff who have contributed to the organization of the workshop very enthusiastically, and in particular, the advocacy department. Thank you, Joaquin and team. Organizing this event with all the pandemic-related uncertainties has been a challenge, and we are happy that technology has allowed us to virtually meet. International cooperation remains paramount to competition authorities, and although nothing can substitute meeting and sharing in person, particularly in the wonderful city of Barcelona, I am happy that the ICN will give us in this forum the opportunity to exchange our views, interests, experiences, and best practice in the field of competition advocacy. Over the next 2 days, we will have the opportunity to join 8 interesting sessions devoted to relevant challenges and opportunities for competition and advocacy, where top-level speakers will share with us their views on topic of the utmost importance for all of us, competition authorities and the competition community. We are very pleased for the enthusiastic response from all ICN competition agencies and delegates that will participate in the workshop. Allow me to thank you all, particularly speakers and moderators. It goes without saying how important advocacy instruments are for competition policy, and in particular to foster the recovery of our economies after the COVID crisis. Advocacy seeks to create a real culture of competition. First, by explaining the benefits of competition to companies, consumers, lawmakers, and public administrations, we favor awareness and thus greater compliance with competition law and competition principles. Second, by engaging with lawmakers and the public sectors, we promote a regulatory framework that does not create unjustified barriers to competition and paves the way for markets to provide better outcomes to our societies and consumers. Today, our societies face important challenges. First, to ensure that the economic recovery is strong and involves all parts of our societies. Second, to respond to the challenges and grasp the enormous potential of digitalization. And third, to transform our economies into greener and more sustainable models. I am convinced that competition policy, and in particular our advocacy role, will be part of the solution in achieving this social and economic transformation in a fair and balanced way. I hope this workshop enables us to go further into those issues and helps us do better advocacy. So thank you very much for your attendance. And now I have the honor of giving the floor to Andrés Barreto, Superintendent of Industry and Commerce of Colombia and co-chair of the ICN Advocacy Working Group. Andrés, very welcome. The floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Cani, and thank you for your words and the introduction. And good morning to you all from Colombia, and good afternoon to you there in Spain. It's a pleasure to represent in this advocacy working group the co-chairs and welcome you all to the 2022 Advocacy Workshop. I would like to start by thanking the Spanish Competition Authority, CNMC, for the immense work and dedication in organizing this workshop, especially to Ms. Cani Fernandez and all the staff in CNMC for making this event possible, even if we had to make it through this virtual means. Our colleagues from the Hong Kong Competition Commission and the Philippines Competition Commission are also very excited to welcome you today. Together with us, the Colombian Superintendents of Industry and Commerce, we have been collaborating with the CNMC in designing the high-level discussions you are about to witness today. Let me assure you that we'll enjoy each and every one of these topics chosen in the workshop, as they are directly related to crucial issues that competition agencies are facing today. Topics like the aftermath of the pandemic, new issues in public procurement, international enforcement cooperation, advocacy in the local labor markets, the digital economy, the competition neutrality, and competition beyond market efficiency have been carefully chosen after an exhaustive internal debate, and we hope that you will enjoy the academic exercise of debating them with us. Please also note that the activities and work products of the Advocacy Working Group are going to be socialized throughout the year, and we will be requesting many views and comments for our fellow members and the NGAs. One of these work products, currently led by the Superintendents of Industry and Commerce, is the Advocacy Toolkit Update Project. We are very excited to announce that the first part of the project has already been shared with all the members and NGAs of the Advocacy Working Group, and that we received very positive comments from all of you. So thanks a lot for that enthusiastic participation. Without further ado, and on behalf of my fellow co-chairs and on behalf of the ICN, we hope that you will enjoy this event. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Cani Fernandez, for your efforts and coordination in this important virtual event that we're celebrating today.
Thank you very much, Andres. Let me add to your words that we will also want to thank those that have been generous enough to reschedule and to accept that the number of panels have been shortened, given the fact that converting an in-presence meeting that had all the possibility of meeting in parallel to an online had us, spillover effect, the impossibility of taking on board everybody. So thank you very much as well for those of you that with the generosity have accepted this shortening of the program. Well, I'm going to give the floor to our Secretary of State. We are a bit ahead of time, so I hope he will be already there in order to address us. Andres Gonzalo, thank you very much. Very welcome. Gonzalo Garcia Andres is Secretary of State for Economy and Business Support. Thank you very much, Gonzalo, for having the time to be with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Cani, and big welcome to all of you to the International Competition Network Advocacy Workshop. It is a pity that you haven't had the opportunity to meet physically in Barcelona, but looking at the program, I'm sure this will be a great opportunity to exchange views and advance on the very challenging kind of agenda for competition policy and on the usefulness of competition advocacy to really be at the avant-garde of the whole effort of competition policy. Really, the title of this year's network is how to adapt the tools of competition, and particularly advocacy to the new challenges of this very complex time. And I think it's really a great idea to focus on this idea of change in terms of the tools and the policies, because this is something that goes way beyond competition policy, and it really kind of characterizes the current state and challenges for economic policy more broadly. With the pandemic, we've had to endure the second systemic crisis in little more than a decade globally. The first crisis, the financial crisis, kind of shattered the whole building of our understanding about how the economy works. There's been great hype in academia, in research, and in theory and empirical research, in economics, in industrial organization, in competition, in so many different fields in this last 10 years. And also there was the experience of the mistakes that were made in dealing with the financial crisis. So when the pandemic hit, we should be happy to see now with the data, with employment data, with GDP data, that the response to the pandemic crisis has been much more effective. That we've managed so far to avoid hysteresis, so the particular persistent damage in the business fabric and in employability. And that is because we have, to a large extent, learned from the lessons of years ago. But we cannot escape the fact that this response has entailed a degree of intervention in the workings of markets, which is unprecedented. We have had to use tools to kind of address the highly asymmetric impact of the pandemic crisis. And this, of course, has been using instruments and tools to support companies through guarantees, through liquidity elements, through solvency support, and of course, this is a challenge also, because now we are fortunately in the recovery phase. In 2021, we had a broad economic recovery and intense economic recovery in the global economy. That this is great news, but now we're in a situation in which the economy is in the midst of a very far-reaching transformation. Kani mentioned it. We have the digital and the green transitions that were already ongoing before the crisis, but the crisis has accelerated the more kind of endogenous part of these transformations, and we are taking the decision to really kind of push for these transitions, which are absolutely essential in terms of preparing for climate change, and also exploiting the full benefits, the full economics and societal benefits of digital technologies. And I think it's in this context where the competition advocacy and competition policy more broadly needs to be kind of revised, rethought. There's a whole kind of need of change in policy. We really need to be very active in economic policy in these times. I think no one longer believes that faced to the challenges of these economic world, policymakers can just cross their hands and let the markets and other elements interact freely, because that's a recipe for disaster, as we have seen. And we need to be very active in trying to help this process of economic recovery to be a strong recovery, not just a rebound, but a sustainable recovery, one that is strong in quantitative terms, but also in qualitative terms, having different growth. And also we need to adapt the tools to the needs of this transformation. I am very happy to see that you have some of the sessions that address these kind of new approaches. For example, connecting the links between competition and the macro perspective, which is in the context in Europe of the execution of the recovery plans, this ambitious common response to opt for a combination of investments, public and private, and reforms. This is a key element, one, of course, that in Europe we are discussing and working a lot on, the CNMC, the European Commission, and other competition authorities. There's also a session on labor markets, which promises to be very, very exciting. There is a talk of some authorities willing to go beyond the consumer welfare standard and consider the unemployment rate, the job market mobility, and labor right issues. I think that's another interesting perspective. And so all in all, I think we are at a time of hope, but we need to kind of address and face with confidence. We have been we have been successful and capable of dealing with a terrible kind of economic shock. We are getting out of it. The recovery is well ongoing, and now as policymakers, we all need to work to adapt our tools to make our policies kind of effective in pushing for that agenda of growth. I think in this context of economic restructuring, of phasing out many of the tools that were used to bolster kind of businesses through the crisis, it's essential that competition policy kind of again comes to the fore. It is essential that active competition is a driver of that restructuring process, and at the same time that we can adapt our tools to fit the needs of the transition, and also the needs of the changes that digitalization is promoting in the way markets work. So from our side, we of course are very happy to collaborate with the CNMC, with which of course we cooperate very closely on advocacy. Advocacy and competition advocacy in Spain have been a key element in kind of making competition an effective policy, and one that is well understood also by companies, by households and citizens. We will continue to do so, and so I wish that you have a very productive network meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gonzalo. Thank you for having the time to share with us your views on advocacy, and we fully agree that we have to go hand in hand with advocacy enforcement, and of course efficient regulation that we know you are enhancing very much in Spain. Now I think we are having some projections. I will pass the floor to our Master of Ceremony, Joaquín López Vallés. Joaquín, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Cani. The Hong Kong Competition Commission and the Philippines Competition Commission, also co-chairs of the ICN Advocacy Working Group, wanted to be part of this welcome and have recorded a short video message. We also want you to get to know us better, the CNMC, so we have prepared a short video about the Spanish CNMC that will be projected afterwards. Please enter videos.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone, depending on which time zone you're in. This is Billy Wu, the Executive Director of Policy and Advocacy at the Hong Kong Competition Commission. It is with great pleasure that in the capacity of AWG Co-Chair, I welcome you all to the Advocacy Workshop. Our heartfelt gratitude goes to colleagues at the CNMC of Spain, and especially President Cani Fernandez, for their long-time support and firm dedication to the ICN and advocacy work. The organizing team, led by Mr. Joaquín López and Ms. Cristina Vallejo, have put in tremendous efforts and serious thoughts into making this virtual workshop happen. Thank you for having curated such a fascinating series of panels. I learned from my colleagues that the last time round in 2019, we have had a fruitful gathering in Kiev, Ukraine. I have no doubt this online event will be another success, enabling us to have an important and open conversation on different competition advocacy issues, despite all the challenges and uncertainties presented to every one of us by the pandemic. Hopefully, at the next workshop, we would all be able to meet each other again in person. Thank you.
Greetings. I am Johannes Bernabe, one of the commissioners of the Philippine Competition Commission. We welcome you to this year's ICN Advocacy Working Group Workshop, hosted by Spain's Comisión Nacional de los Mercados y la Competencia. We are privileged to co-chair with the Hong Kong Competition Commission and the Superintendencia de Industria y Comercio of Colombia, the advocacy group's activities this year. As one of the group's flagship projects, we share the pleasure of presenting this workshop, whose sessions span the cutting edge of competition law and topics which lie at the heart of what is most relevant for both businesses and ordinary consumers during these difficult times. We hope that participants will derive as much learning and constructive ideas from these as much as we have enjoyed putting these together. We laud our colleagues at the CNMC, Joaquin, Cristina, Alfonso, Irene, and others, for their progressive thinking, and for being such a pleasure to work with. We would have all loved to join them in welcoming you to the workshop in Barcelona and keep our conversations going over rounds of sangria and tapas, but COVID prevents us from that joy for now. Nonetheless, we look forward to productive virtual discussions on how we can continue to promote the culture of competition in our global community. Maraming salamat at mabuhay tayong lahat.
What is the CNMC? Since 2013, the Spanish National Markets and Competition Commission is the competition and market regulation authority in Spain. It is a public body that is completely independent from the government, public administration, and market agents. It is subject to parliamentary and judicial control. The goals of the CNMC are to guarantee and promote the correct functioning of all markets and productive sectors, and to ensure the existence of effective competition for the benefit of citizens and end users. Functions. The CNMC applies both Spanish and European Union competition regulations, thereby performing its functions of defending and promoting competition in all markets. It also supervises several strategic sectors of the Spanish economy: energy, telecommunications, the audiovisual sector, railways, airports, and postal services. The Commission is also responsible for resolving conflicts that arise between economic operators.
Now we will have 5 minutes for leg stretching, and please be back here at midday 30 Spanish time in order to start with our first session. Thank you very much.